Well, England started their innings like they were driving on the expressway. Joyda had spoken about those speeds. They were driving on those speeds, but then they got stuck between Bandra to Andheri and their speed just went slower and slower and slower. We're back at Cricbuzz Live. I've got Joyda and Zach with me. England have gotten all out for 248 runs. India is going to be very proud with the way they've bowled. Joss Buttler got 52, Bethell got 51. Phil Salt got 43, but like I said, India is going to be very proud with the way they've bowled.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at how England has started with the bat and the kind of tone which was set by the openers, they will be disappointed. And Indian bowlers will be very happy with how they maintained the composure, got themselves back in the game. The brilliant run out from Shreyas really set that tone of the comeback. Harshit Rana chipping in with those 2 wickets. And then spinners making the most of the conditions. So that was the story. They'll be very happy with this total. And England will be disappointed that they've not managed to play the 50 overs after winning the toss and batting first.
Well, 75 for no loss, Joyda, and then the run out that Zach just spoke about, which completely derailed them and changed the course of the innings.
I think it did. I think they were going really well, and after that, if you remember, they lost 3 wickets in a bunch. From 75 for no loss, they became 99 for 3. And after that, they just somewhere they went away. You see the run rate also, it reflects it after 3.7, then 4.8, they have a bit of a recovery, then 4.4, and then the last run rate that you see, 5.48, that's basically Jofra Archer, being defiant and trying to hit his way out of trouble. And it is just textbook. And normally when teams get away that well in the start, to restrict them to 248 looks a decent, not a decent score, but just below par. But considering their start, it's very much below par.
Yes. Zach, you're happy with the way Rohit Sharma rotated his bowlers? We spoke about it in the comm box. 6 bowlers used within the 15 overs.
Yeah, looking at the start, he had to be proactive. And that he was. Managed to change his bowlers. You've seen by 15 overs, usually you don't see 6 bowlers being used. But he made sure that he changed the bowlers around that phase which we are talking about and utilized his resources well. So on the whole, I think bowling unit will be very happy with everyone because when you have that kind of a start, not often you see things being pulled back so convincingly. And I think it was some good batting, good partnership, decent partnership between Root and Buttler as well. So that middle phase, that accumulating phase, and just setting the base for the launch at 35 overs, England were not able to do that. And that's why you have to give credit to the Indian bowlers that they were taking wickets at those crucial junctures in the game where England looked like the platform is set. Now you can take it to the next level, but they are not able to do that because of the fall of wickets.
Also, I'd make one more point. I mean, you look at that, I think, once Shakib Mohammed goes back to the dressing room, I think Brendan McCullum is going to have a chat with him, so is his captain. 47.4 overs. Okay, you've just walked into bat. Somebody on the other side is batting brilliantly. Wow. My alarm has gone. I think this is when I wanted the England team to finish. So the thing about it is, you still have 14 balls to go, 15 balls to go. Okay, the batter at the other end has hit 14 off 1 over from Hardik Pandya. He's looking really good out there. Okay, he's at the other end. All you have to do is defend 2 balls. He's going to get a chance at the other end. What does he do? He runs down the wicket in spinning conditions in India at the spinner. So my point is that's at least another 5, 10, 15 runs he's cost his team. And you look at it saying that, okay, 7 down, 6 down, you're taking a risk. You're the last batter there. The guy on the other end is batting beautifully. Why did you give your wicket away?
He took the step forward.
Yeah.
He took that step forward. Well done. That's what he's going to tell Brendan. He took that step forward. Sir, you told me.
A bit too many steps he took. That one was, well, enough, but he took too many steps.
That has been England's story, isn't it? I mean, that's what they try to achieve. That's what they're trying to build the brand of cricket, which is defining this exact same thing. And the story has been very similar, format to format, that you're trying to be aggressive, but you're losing those moments. It's like 8 overs of start of play, you played so well.
Yeah.
If you don't lose wickets in cluster, you just see that phase off, the bowlers are already getting on the defensive. So the game becomes that much easier. So addressing those phases is important. But when you have a plan that no matter what you're going to take a step forward, then you're basically trying to be aggressive even if you're losing wickets.
I love it. No, he's absolutely got it right. You're absolutely right. I mean, 75 for no loss. Okay, you've lost 1 wicket. Till then, you keep going. You lost a second. Just now
hold back,
yes. Wait, play out 5, 7, 10 overs. Then take their chances. Na? They went and lost. The way they lost their wickets, that's the problem. And the kind of shots that they hit. I mean, I feel bad only for Josh Buttler because, he got a ball which he tried to turn around, just got a top edge. But that's exactly what you see. That big partnership up front, then Buttler and Bethell, somewhere they gave them the stability. After that, nobody tried to stay there. The only person who showed some resistance at the bottom is Jofra Archer. And Jofra Archer's form will be something that the kind of shots, the power with which he hit his shots, he was looking good.
Well, there were a few shots which they shouldn't have played, but Zach, as a debutant, Harshit Rana also really held them back. You spoke about it, that wicket was a delight for any bowler, the one which bounced and KL took that great catch.
Yeah,
so great debut for him.
He hits the deck hard. And what I liked about his debut in ODIs is that his first spell was not that easy. It was a tough spell to bowl. The batters had put him under pressure. And then for him to come back and take those wickets, that's where the character is seen, and consistency, and that ability of believing that you can come back and one spell is going to change things is something which is very important. So that's the most positive sign out of someone who is making the debut. On the first day, you're not expecting much from the guy. You can have a tough day. But he's shown the sign of comeback, which is going to go a long way for him in his career as well.
Joyda, those 25 dot balls is what stood out in that spell as well, is when you have 25 dot balls, in spite of being very expensive in the first 3 overs, it talks about his comeback and talks about the pressure he put on the batters.
I think he put a lot of pressure on the batters, and I have to give Rohit credit for that because, there were 2 worries. The first worry was that, Harshit went for a few runs. Then if you remember, after 4 overs, suddenly Shami goes back to the pavilion and all of India is sort of holding its collective breath. Champions Trophy in front, all this. Unfortunately, he comes back, he bowls, so it's not too much. It must have been this little, not a very important matter. So I think Rohit did that well. He rotated them well, and when he felt that the situation was a couple of wickets have fallen down, therefore opportunity for Harshit to come back, he brings him back. Harshit gets a wicket, Duckett, which was, the wicket that we really liked. And therefore, he gets his opportunity to bring back, get a spell and get some wickets and get some experience under his belt. And I like what Rohit did overall. And then that pressure we talked about, that 15 to 35, winning that 15 to 35, they played very well. India played very well, even when there was that 50-run partnership. I mean, if you see that partnership, that was a solid partnership at that time, Buttler and Bethell. Yeah. That was a middle partnership that really worked. But they sort of managed to see that it didn't go out of control. Even there you saw, 30 dot balls in the middle. Not dot balls, 30 balls without a single boundary. Yeah. So I think India controlled every phase of the game very well. The first phase was out of control. But pulling it back from there, I thought was fantastic.
Zach, also, Harshit has debuted in all 3 formats this year. And he's been impressive on debut on all 3 formats. So clearly he likes the pressure.
Well, he's a great talent and a good success story. Another success story from the franchise cricket leading into the international cricket, making it count. Is this something which has stayed with him? He's got a long way ahead of him in terms of learning things as quickly as possible. That process will continue. But what you want to see is someone who is showing all the right signs for success, and that is something which you can expect from Harshit, and today's the comeback which we're talking about is something which is very important for a bowler. Bowlers need to be thick-skinned, especially when you're bowling in these kind of conditions. Not every spell is going to be good. There will be times when you'll be put under pressure. So how you look at things matters. So if you're able to have this kind of impact, if you're able to have this kind of belief, surely you are ready to achieve big things.
Well, from a debutant to someone who's been very experienced and also very thick-skinned, Ravindra Jadeja picked up 3 wickets. And quintessential Jadeja, some of the wickets, especially the LBW, it's all tailor-made. It feels like this is what he comes and this is what he does.
And not only that, Jadeja has this template firstly. Firstly, he bowls so fast. Every over is 2-3 minutes he finishes off. So he doesn't allow the batsman to settle and think. the beauty of Jadeja's bowling is the fact that if he has a little bit of help in the conditions, and I think he had a little bit of help, he's not going to try and do anything, just keep the ball in the stumps, let the ball do its work. And he's smart enough to just pin batters down. So now the point is, if they take him on, they're going to take chances against him, he's going to get wickets. And he's so good at that plan. And it seems very simple, but to be able to execute that plan flawlessly every time. I mean, 9 overs, 26, 27 runs. If you see Harshit, 7 overs, he's given away 50 odd runs. So Jadeja is achieving the same with so much economy, and so in that middle overs, he puts so much pressure on the opposition that he almost causes wickets to fall, not just for himself, but at the other end as well.
Also, the Joe Root wicket, he put him in two minds. He didn't know whether he should come in front or go back. So it's very quintessential Jadeja.
I think, when the pitch is helping him just a tad bit, he's a different bowler, that we've seen right throughout his career. And he's getting better and better at it, So the moment you know that, okay, these are my conditions, suddenly the confidence level is different. And that's a very valid point and an important point, that he just rushes the batsman through that phase. He's not giving them enough time to think as well. That's the phase where actually batters prefer to take a little bit of time, rotate the strike, ease into it, keep the tempo going that way. And he's someone, who without realizing just goes so quick through the overs, picks up 1-2 in that, and just sets that tone very nicely. And that's his role, and that's why he's there. I mean, you have 2 left-arm spinners right now playing in the playing 11. That shows that, he's been doing that consistently. So even though Aksar has been pushing him, you're still going in with 2 so that you lengthen the batting as well. He's a brilliant fielder. So, all those aspects have been working for him right throughout his career.
I'd like to see the length and the line he was bowling, but the length with Jadeja is always a little short, if I'm not wrong. And I think we've got some kind of a graphic to show us what the pitch map of the spinners has been. So if we have a look at it here, Joyda, good length is where the spinners are bowling.
Yeah, good length. Look, good length is also where you'll get wickets, because where you get turn in the good length is where you're going to get an edge, where you're going to get a nick, where you're going to deliver it. So if you go full, you're trying to bowl into the block hole, you're not being able to give the guy better chance to swing his bat properly. But, short is obviously nobody wants to bowl short in pitches like this, because the batter can just hang back and hit you out of the stadium. So, Goodland, that area that they bowled, I think they bowled very well within their limitations. And again, Aksar and Jadeja now do this so well, even, with each other as a tandem. Just keep the ball there. See, Kuldeep is the one, because of being a leggy, he will experiment a bit, he will have to change his line and length a little bit more. These guys just keep it there in little minute variations. It's just, I missed the line, I'm an LBW candidate, and they're so straight, so good at that in Indian conditions with a little bit of help, they are very difficult to get away.
And also with the new, with the rule of having extra fielder in the 30-yard circle, that also forces you to have this kind of style of bowling. So you need to pack one side of the pitch. Correct. And then you build your bowling accordingly, so that you're drying up the singles as well, and you are forcing the batter to play on one side. And that's what both these bowlers usually look to do.
But Zach, do you see any particular plan with the Pacers, especially kind of bowling more short stuff? Is that the plan that they've been doing? Even the T20s, they did that.
Well, into the pitch, getting those slower ones going is something, which is the trend. And again, that one fielder inside the 30-yard circle, you have that less protection. So you got to have very specific plans. So that's why you'll see a lot of the bowlers in this format, especially now, have started using the hip-high length deliveries are the way to go. Which just allows you to have that one side protected, and then you force the batters to play in that region, where the fielders are. And typically you'll see that 6 to 8 meter length, pulling it back a little bit, hitting the deck hard, cramping them to play shots is something which is a general trend in this format now.
Also in pitches like this, where you're not seeing too much swing and seam, which is where probably Harshit was also prepared, because he's a hit the deck bowler kind of thing. So these conditions suit him. And the older the ball gets, though it doesn't get very old in these conditions for too long, he'll get that, here, that's his
uncomfortable.
That's his bowling length, whereas Hardik is far more a swing and seam up front, beating the bat. This pitch had nothing for Harshdeep. So I think that way the Indian think tank was smart about it, that agar khilana hai, this is the kind of pitch to play Harshit Rana,
So all in all, everything went pitch perfect for India, but not so much for England. Zach, again, the plan that England's following, we spoke about it, that they want to keep that one step
ahead.
One step ahead. That's the plan that they have. But again, the adapting from T20 to ODIs, they seem to be doing the same thing. Yes, they are backing that plan, but just some of the shots that were played was so unnecessary.
I think those wickets in cluster, they will look back and say that, okay, first block, the 10 overs was so good, but they didn't finish those overs well. You know, you starting off so well and yet losing 3 wickets in that passage of play was something which definitely has hurt them in this game. After that, there were partnerships, but the partnerships were not big enough for this format. Like in this format, you often see teams talking about having that 75, 80 run partnership, you know, if you start. So the 30, 40 runs partnerships need to be converted into those big partnerships. Maybe a 3-digit partnership is something which can really change things in terms of this 249 to 300 or 310. You know, that's the difference you're talking about. So the difference that way is 50, 60 runs. And those are the moments which they need to identify and win those moments in the game for them to have that solid platform at the back end.
Well, Joyda, you know, that pair we spoke about, Root and Buttler, they were meant to steady the ship and they were looking like they were doing it well. And then unfortunately, Joe Root got out. And then Bethell came in. He was looking like pretty solid. He got that 50.
I pretty like the look of Bethell for me. Bethell, I think, is a very complete player. He gives you a little bit with the ball as well. But as a bat, he's at left hand in the middle order. He can rotate the strike. He's played the conditions well. Because remember, when he's batting, Joe Root has just got out. Okay, so he needs to stabilize the shape. Sorry, he's batting in the other end. Buttler walks in. And so they need to make sure that, you know, they put a partnership together. He's sensible about it. He's smart about it. Doesn't take too many risks. Finds one ball to hit for 6, hits it for 6. He's playing on. I mean, his getting out, I think, was very crucial at that point. But I think, again, he was let down because once Livingston was out, he knew he had to take the risks and the onus of scoring was on him. But I think as an innings, as a maturity that I'm seeing from Bethell, he's somebody you'll see in England colours for a very, very long time. I think he's a prospect for us.
Well, Buttler has gotten his first half century in India, I think, after 17 innings. So that's something he'll be very happy about. And he was looking solid too.
Yeah, that partnership with Root and then with Bethell, you know, that's the positive of that middle phase of the game for England. Buttler will be feeling disappointed that the toppage went to the fielder at short fine, but he was in. You know, it was looked like one of those days where he was building it to be a typical Buttler innings, where he was just about to shift gears and maybe in the process losing wicket. So it was unfortunate that he lost wicket, but he looked very good today after a long time.
But what do you think England is missing? Because we've seen this, Joyda, in the T20s as well and now in the ODIs as well. We understand the whole changing of gears. But what do you think is missing in their batting?
Look, the truth is, I don't think they're a great team for Indian kind of conditions. I don't think they're a great team in conditions like this because I think other than Adil Rashid, they have one quality spinner, really high quality spinner. Other than that, you know, they rely on pace even in these conditions because the pacers they have are better than the spinners they have, okay? And that, you know, like batters like Shreyas Iyer, you know, batters like KL Rahul, the kind of runs and forget about even a Kohli and a Rohit, the kind of runs that we've got. So we've got a stronger team. They are playing. Why do you see so few differences between their ODI team and their T20 team? Because there aren't that many talented players on that white ball category that they have who work in our conditions. There are lots who work in their conditions, but not too many who work in our conditions. So I think that's where you are seeing about the best England team that they can put up. Okay, but I would immediately say that, you know, they really need one more quality spinner. Adil Rashid is the only quality spinner they have.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I want to put a little pause on our India-England discussion because there is so much to discuss with what's happening with Australia and the announcements that we have heard for the Champions Trophy. Because
that's not a team right now. That's at the moment, Australia is a hospital ward. It's not a team.
Yeah,
you look out there, one after the other, the beds are getting filled up.
So 4 down, because I think Cummins has been ruled out, Hazelwood has been ruled out, Mitch Marsh has been ruled out, and then Stoinis goes and announces his retirement. But this is what George Bailey has to say. Unfortunately, Pat, Josh and Mitch are managing some ongoing injuries and haven't come up in time for the Champions Trophy. While disappointing, it does present a great opportunity for other players to perform for Australia in a world event.
I'm so surprised. I am so surprised that 3 Australian players have decided just before a big IPL where they're going to make a lot of money that they don't want to risk getting another injury playing out there. Look, the truth is, we think that money is big for Indian players in IPL. For other countries, other players, it's even bigger because the sponsorship outside of just a tournament like the IPL is not very much in other countries in the world, okay? So for them, even if you're carrying a little bit of a niggle and the chance of, getting injured in the Champions Trophy and not being able to play the IPL, it's a huge payday for them. So anyone with even a 10-15% chance, if it's a 50-50 call, you can bet they're not going to play and take the chance. And let me tell you, at some basic level, even the Australian selectors understand they're not going to take that chance.
But even for a Champions Trophy, I mean, it's a ICC big.
I mean, it's not a World Cup. I mean, you look at it that way. They look at it the Champions Trophy, World Cup. It's so close to the IPL. I don't think, as I said, for a lot of these players, IPL is life-changing for them.
And also, I think Ashes will be played.
Yes, later in the year.
Later in the year.
Yeah. Ashes is also a big field. They will.
So I think this is just a management from looking at the FTP and figuring it out exactly, finding that window of making sure that you're not missing the major tournaments which they feel for their board is important.
Yeah, but Zach, when there's no Cummins, it's a good sign for India. Let's say it's no batter wants to face a Pat Cummins, especially Cummins, the captain, has been so good for Australia.
But also, you look at when you're talking about Cummins, the 5-test series is never easy series for any bowler to complete that way. And he has put in a lot in that series. You could make out. Plus, captaining the side, it's just going to have its added pressures. So there's a lot to be managed. And when you're playing against India, you know that the importance of the series was so high. So considering all those things, maybe just a well-calculated time off from the game to give priorities to certain things is how I would analyze.
Well, but another shocking announcement was from Stoinis because he was in the Champions Trophy squad, and then there was just this sudden bombshell of him not playing. Playing ODI cricket for Australia has been an incredible journey. This wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right time for me to step away from ODI cricket.
I think this one is the one that I have a problem with because obviously he's fit that means. If he's been announced means he's declared himself available before that, or he's not declared himself unavailable. So I think this is a bit of a shock for the board as well, and I think Marcus Stoinis should have thought this through. If he did not want to play it, perhaps a call made a little earlier, 15 days, 20 days for his board to consider would have been better. I think under these, there's something there we don't know what suddenly changed. We don't know what the situation is, but I mean, I think this one was something I can very much understand, even a slight niggle to manage Pat Cummins, Hazelwood. But this one seems a bit strange, and I don't think it's good for Australian cricket. I mean, it's something that's put them into an awkward position.
Well, let's just have a look at the squad that Australia had announced for the Champions Trophy, because there are a lot of Reds there. So one is captaincy Zach. There's discussion that Steve Smith could put his hand up for captaincy again.
Or Australia might go in forward direction. So that's something that's the call for the selectors to make. Maybe it's so last minute that they might go to Steve Smith, which is a safer call. Someone who is experienced, someone who knows exactly how to handle things. Maybe that will be the discussion out there. But batting wise, pretty much most of the things are set. I think all rounders is something which they will look at. So that will be the discussion to have that balance, because you have 4 all-rounders, of that 2 are gone now. So that is a big hole there in terms of achieving that balance which they've been achieving in the playing 11.
Bo Webster, who do you think could come in? Because
look, Bo Webster plays a lot of T20 around the world. He's a decent player. They already rate him. They've got him into. He's already played this thing. He's played test matches. So I think definitely he's one of the guys that they'll be looking at very, very seriously. I think Bo Webster definitely gets a play in. I'll be interested in seeing who the fast bowlers are because, Nathan Ellis is already there. So that doesn't leave too many other bowlers out there who they're looking at. So it'll be interesting to see who the fast bowlers they bring out.
I think they have Spencer Johnson as an option, but they still have to fill in 3 more names. Richardson, Spencer Johnson.
Yeah, Jai Richardson is definitely...
Ben Doshis have been around for them. Lance Morris maybe, So those are the names I think they'll be considering for sure.
All right, we'll wait and watch and see what happens because there's a lot of filling up that Australia has to do and we will obviously keep getting more updates and we'll be seeing what they come up with. In the next 3 ODIs, we'll have more of these discussions for sure. But going back to our game, what do you think is going to be the approach for India? Because we have also bowled a few googlies in the morning today because Virat was, injured. We've got Yashasvi opening and Gill at 4. But in the Champions Trophy, Gill's going to go back to open. So is this a very wise thing to move him around right now?
We don't know. I mean, this is the order we are saying that will come up. So Yashasvi might just bat at 4. And I think I totally agree with you. The sensible thing is if Gill is going to bat at 4, open in the Champions Trophy, he should be opening here. So I'm hoping they stay with the same order, don't move it around. But you never know.
You think Gill stays to open and Yashasvi down?
Yeah, I mean, whoever they've decided for the Champions Trophy, that should be the continuation. So if you think that, okay, Yashasvi is that guy who is going to open and then Gill is going to bat in the middle order, then that should be the order which is followed through and through. If they feel Gill, which should be the case because he's been so consistent at that number. So I think Gill should open to start with.
And how big a challenge is it going to be for Rohit? You spoke about it in the pre-match show that he needs to keep the noise out, the noise within and the noise from outside.
Looking at what we discussed earlier as well, right? Like, how India was approaching with the bat is to be aggressive in the first 10 overs. And that's what they will continue to do even in this game. And today, the pitch, the way it has behaved in the first innings, you could make out that you got to be aggressive with the new ball. It will get tricky a little bit. There is some assistance to the spin bowlers or the fast bowlers might be using those into the pitch slow and which will make it little too paced, little tough to score. So the game will slow down. So considering all that, I think aggression at the top is something which you can expect, and that should be the case with this run chase. Even if it's 249, you still got to tick those boxes nicely so that it's not getting tricky in the middle or at the back end.
Well, Joyda, a lot of pace that England's going to come with. But what is it that England needs to do? Because it's pretty much the same people who played the T20s and they've not had the best record when it comes to their average and their economy.
I think they need to. I think up front they need to get wickets up front. And see, India is not going to do that. This wicket falling in bunches is what England is doing because they keep the same strategy going. I think India plays this ODI game smarter. They will go aggressive, but if they lose more than a couple of wickets, if they lose a couple of wickets, immediately they'll sort of change gears. I think India does that smartly. India plays these conditions smartly and better. And if you see the wealth of batting talent on hand, I think the smart thing for England to do is to try and get wickets up front because only way you can stop this Indian batting juggernaut from going through is taking wickets up front. You have to get in there early, and I think that's what they'll tell him because the new ball is the ball that is most difficult to defend. As he said, it's going to get more difficult when the spinners come on, or because there's a little bit of turn, the ball is holding up. So the new ball is the one they need to defend well, and it's important for them to do it.
But Zach has said that they will be aggressive from the word go, especially with the new ball.
They should be. Yes. I think for England, if they have to give themselves the best chance. For them, the scoreline should read 45 for 2. I think that is something which at the end of 10 overs, that first power play, if that is the scenario, then England is in with a chance for sure.
So is that going to be your prediction, Zach? Because we were all over the place with our prediction game, a little rusty with our prediction game. If I can say a little rusty.
I think 55 for 1. I'll go for the first power
play. Okay, 55 for 1, the first power play.
Yeah.
55 for 1 for the first player. Okay, I'm going to go 70 for whatever. Doesn't matter.
We don't have to give a wicket. We got very specific. 55, 70. I mean, I don't want to go, but I was expecting some 60s.
Bear market, budget has come out, exemption till 12 lakhs. Come on, put it up there.
Okay, put it up, you're saying? 76 then.
76, chalo.
Yashasvi, Gill and Rohit opening.
I'm
We've
the
seen
bull in the market today.
what Rohit's been doing. I got a message from GK to say that let the alarm bells not ring with our prediction game. But let's see if
GK
we get
didn't
this
need
one.
to do this. Tell him he didn't need to do this. I'm embarrassed enough to know that he's watching it's making me even more nervous.
All right, we'll wait and see if we get anywhere close to a prediction game because we were totally off in the first innings. Don't forget to join us at the 15-over point at the Cricbuzz Combox.